What is the difference between boars and warthogs? Warthog and boar are some of the most common words thrown about whenever the topic of wild pigs arises. But what's the true story behind them? Are boars and warthogs simply different names for the same bacon? Or are there real discernible differences that mark them out as separate animals? Well, that's what we're taking a look at in today's video, as we zoom in on the wilder side of the pig family tree. With that, let's dive right in. Boar. Let's just start by saying, yes, boars and warthogs are actually different animal species. The boar, aka wild boar, Eurasian wild swine, or to many who can't be bothered, wild pig, is taxonomically classified as Sus scrofa. It belongs to the Suidae family along with our own domestic pigs and a bunch of other wild pig-like critters. Suidae is more commonly known as the pig or swine family, and all member animals may also be referred to as suids. In fact, Sus scrofa is, in most parts of the world, the not-so-distant ancestor of the various domestic pig breeds. Hence, the domestic pig is called Sus domestica because of this close relation. Like all suids, boars are even-toed ungulates, which basically means they walk around on split hooves. This is in contrast to odd-toed ungulates like horses and rhinoceroses. Boars are by far and away the most successful of the wild suids in terms of sheer population and range. They have dominated the Eurasian landmass since 2 million years ago, and they've spread to Africa and even crossed the seas to the Americas and Australia in the intervening years. Boars are brash, tough, and smart enough to adapt and dominate any ecosystem, and they've played a massive role in human societies and cultures since time immemorial. Though most common in mixed and deciduous forests, boar subspecies may be found in swamps, open grasslands, deserts, lowlands, and mountain ranges. Mitochondrial DNA analysis indicates these beasts first emerged on the scene on the islands of Southeast Asia and had spread into Asia and Europe by the early Pleistocene. During this time, the boar also outcompeted and eventually replaced Sus strozi, an older suid animal that dwelled in Eurasia's more swampy regions. Sus strozi was later restricted to the Southeast Asian islands and is believed to be the ancestor of the modern Javan wild pig. Today, we have around 16 subspecies of wild boar. These animals range in size, shape, coloration, hairiness, preferred habitats, and other aspects, yet they all share distinct pig-like features: elongated snouts, short tails, tusks, split hooves, and the iconic squealing and grunting sounds. The Central European boar, Sus scrofa, is the most common subspecies of them all, and is likely what most people think about when talking about boars in general. Its numbers and vast distribution are big reasons why it is the nominate subspecies for Sus scrofa. When it comes to size, some boars are larger than others. On the smaller side of the spectrum, we have subspecies like the Mediterranean boar, Sus scrofa meridionalis, and the Central Asian boar, Sus scrofa davidi. Females of the latter subspecies have maximum weights around 271 pounds, while males can reach 348 pounds. The largest subspecies is the Ussuri boar, Sus scrofa ussuricus, from eastern China, and the Ussuri and Amur bays of the Eurasian Far East. This hulking pig has been documented at incredible sizes. The biggest males on record tipped the scales at 660 to 770 pounds and had 49-inch shoulder heights. Average Ussuri males are within the 450 and 600 pound range, which is still massive. Other large subspecies include the Carpathian boar, Sus scrofa attila, and the Middle Asian boar, Sus scrofa nigripes. For all subspecies, males are usually the larger sex. Females are about 60% the size of males within their subspecies. When it comes to diet, all boars are very versatile. They are omnivorous, and doubtless their ability to eat almost anything is one of the underlying reasons behind their insane success and longevity. Boars are constantly foraging for roots, vegetables, berries, seeds, leaves, bark, bugs, worms, mollusks, rodents, fish, and reptiles. They're also quite fond of bird eggs and dead flesh from mammals and birds where they can find it. Boars are also the bane of many farmers due to their ability to utterly destroy crops. Interestingly, a 2020 study revealed that boars will sometimes cannibalize boar carcasses too. As if that weren't extreme enough, They may also eat human and animal poop that contains semi-digested matter. Active predation is pretty rare but not unheard of. They are almost totally unequipped for stalking, catching, and killing most vertebrate prey-type animals, but are more than ready to exploit a golden opportunity. Vulnerable animals like newborn deer fawns and baby birds that fall from their nests will definitely bring out a boar's opportunistic hunting instincts. That said, boars themselves are often on someone else's menu. They often share environments with a bunch of predators. In Europe, their main threats are wolves and bears, while tigers and leopards are added to the mix in Asia and the Russian Far East. Juveniles are more vulnerable and may be preyed upon by foxes, lynxes, and birds of prey. Of course, their chief predator is human beings. We've hunted them for millennia, and we aren't going to stop anytime soon. Boars are a rich source of meat and have historically been considered a top sport hunting target because of how dangerous they are. Socially, boars are usually segregated along sexual lines. Females and juveniles live in groups called sounders. Each sounder is typically led by an older female called a matriarch. Male boars leave their natal sounders from the age of 8 months, though others can stay as long as 15 months. Young males may live in small bachelor groups for a time, but they grow more solitary as they reach sexual maturity at about 18 months. However, very few 18-month-old males get the chance to breed right away. Older males are bigger, meaner, more battle-hardened, and generally an insurmountable challenge in the competition for females. It's likely that a male will have to wait until his prime years, usually beginning at age 4. The breeding season is a tense time for all involved. During this brief window, males will begin tagging along with nearby female sounders for mating opportunities. While dangerous at the best of times, male boars are absolutely murderous during the breeding season and have a strict zero-tolerance policy toward other males. Fights are all but guaranteed as the massive males engage in bloody combat, goring each other with their nasty tusks until someone quits or dies. The breeding season is even dangerous for humans. Statistics show that an overwhelming proportion of boar-on-human attacks take place during their November to January breeding window. Warthogs. Warthogs, like boars, are basically wild pigs. However, they are scientifically classified in the Phacocoeris genus of the Suidae family, rather than Sus. This means they aren't as closely related to modern domestic pigs as boars are. Today, we actually have 2 species. The first is Phacocoeris africanus, or the common warthog. This is the more common species, and has a wide range throughout sub-Saharan Africa, though it tends to avoid the deep tropical jungles of the Congo. The other species is the desert warthog, Phacocoeris ethiopicus. This species is only found in the Horn of Africa, a region that includes Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia. As far as subspecies, the common warthog has 4, while the desert warthog has only 1. As a whole, warthogs can be classified as mid-sized. Body length varies from 35.4 to 60 inches, while shoulder height is between 25 and 33.4 inches. Weight varies greatly. Females range between 99 and 165 pounds, while males are anywhere between 130 and 330 pounds. The name warthog refers to the wart-like wattles on their faces. These warts are more prominent in males. However, warthogs are probably most famous for their highly pronounced and upward curving tusks, which are actually super long canine teeth. They have 2 pairs, one on the upper jaw and one on the lower. Warthogs use their tusks for fighting and displaying dominance. Unlike with boars, the upper tusks are longer and can reach lengths of 10 inches. The lower tusks, though almost half as long, are twice as dangerous. The lower pair is constantly rubbing against the upper, which keeps them deadly sharp. Apart from tusks, warthogs can be identified by their bristly maned backs and bristle-covered bodies that seem bare from a distance. They have fairly long tails that end with hairy tufts. Diet-wise, warthogs aren't too picky. Though most of their diet is herbivorous, they will also partake in bugs, eggs, and carrion. That said, warthogs are notable for being the only wild pig species that can live entirely on grass. While most of their time is spent foraging, they also need to keep an eye out for Africa's countless bloodthirsty predators. Adults mainly fear big cats, hyenas, and crocodiles, but piglets are vulnerable to jackals, birds of prey, and pythons too. Of course, like boars, warthogs have to worry about humans too. Their meat is famously tasty, and their magnificent tusks make them inevitable targets for sport hunters and ivory poachers. These animals are also excellent diggers, using their wide, shovel-like snouts and powerful necks to move some serious earth. They dig for roots and tubers while foraging, and they dig burrows in the ground for shelter. Burrows offer protection from the blazing heat and the never-ending cast of predators. The hogs usually reverse into their burrows, so their fearsome tusks are facing the opening at all times. When cornered, they rush out to hopefully gore the invader and buy enough time to escape. Like many prey-type animals in Africa's savannas, warthogs are very athletic. They can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour and can turn on a dime. Even lions and cheetahs need to be on top of their game when hunting these pacey pigs. Warthog society is not too dissimilar to that of boars. Females generally live together in sounders, while adult males are solitary until the breeding season. Subadult males sometimes form bachelor groups for a little while. How are boars and warthogs different? Well, for starters, they're classified differently. Boars, the ancestor to our domestic pigs, belong to the sus genus, along with most other true pigs, for lack of a better term. Warthogs, in contrast, belong to the same Suidae family as boars, but are part of a different genus, Phacocoeris. Next is appearance. As far as size, the animals overlap quite a bit, with warthogs being of comparable size to most boar subspecies. However, as we've already mentioned, some boars can grow to more than twice the size of warthogs. Boars tend to have hairier bodies than warthogs. From a certain distance, warthogs appear bald, while boars' hairiness is apparent from any distance. Additionally, warthog hair is thickest along their backs and on the tips of their tails. This difference in hairiness is likely a result of another difference between these animals: their native ranges. Boars are largely native to the northern hemisphere, which is generally colder than the southern hemisphere, where most warthogs live. For boars, hair is essential for braving the harsh winters of Europe and Asia. For warthogs in Africa, their thin, bristly hair aids with cooling and protection from the fierce sun. As far as specific habitats, warthogs generally stick to open grasslands. Boars largely prefer forests, but they are much more versatile than warthogs and can live in a wider range of environments. Next is tusks. Boars have relatively smaller tusks with an average length of around 7 inches, and usually one pair is visible from the outside. Warthog tusks are longer, wider, and both pairs are visible. You can also tell them apart by looking at their snouts. Boars have narrow, elongated snouts that resemble those of domestic pigs. Also, boars do not have facial wattles. In contrast, warthogs have wider snouts than boars and domestic pigs, and these snouts feature pronounced facial wattles. Lastly, you can look at the tail. Boars have relatively short tails that are just as hairy as the rest of their bodies. Warthogs, on the other hand, have longer tails that are especially hairy at the tip.